So we start out with the syrup. Good waffles need good syrup. I use my own recipe for syrup. It's not an original recipe, but not many people do this. But it makes syrup that's so much better than anything you can buy in the store. So start out with 2 cups of sugar. Put that into your saucepan. 1 cup of water. That's important that you get the sugar to water ratio correct. And then lastly, we'll add our imitation maple flavoring. So I've brought in my inductive cooktop here. I've got it turned on high just because I want to get this boiling right away. Inductive cooktops, stoves, they really boil things quickly. Okay, and you can see it boiling like crazy. That took about a minute for it to get that hot. That's why I love inductive cooktops. I usually pour this into a container that I use for serving as well as storage. Fits perfectly. So now we're going to make the waffle batter. It's pretty easy. I use about 2 cups of flour. And I'm going to do the dry ingredients first, and you'll see why. Then we've got 1 tablespoon of sugar and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I mix the dry ingredients first so that I can whisk it together just to make sure that that baking powder is pretty much spread throughout. We don't want any lumps of baking powder in our batter. And we'll set that aside for a moment. Okay, now we're going to separate our eggs. I'll use the technique that my father taught me. Just drop that egg back and forth between the shell halves, and eventually all of the yolk remains behind and all of the egg white goes into your bowl. It's important that your egg white in the bowl be uncontaminated. You don't want water from having washed the bowl in there. You don't want any traces of the yolk in there. If you break the yolk, do your best to separate it from your white, because a contaminated egg white is not going to froth up the way you want it to. Oh no. T-Dot, get the cat. Quick.
Yeah, she's trying to call me. No.
Okay, so there we have our separated stuff. Just going to use a regular hand mixer. And I always mix the whites first, because once again you don't want contaminated beaters beating up your whites. Besides, this is a morning food. You don't want extra work cleaning things in between steps. One of these days I'd like to get one of those really nice sunbeam mixers. That'd be really handy for making bread too. So you see they're getting stiff. But we want them pretty much as stiff as we can get them. We're going to whip that air in there. You want your egg whites to peak and hold their shape. We're getting there. See how they're holding their shape there? And that's about done. So now we can add our milk. Got a little bit more than a cup right here. You can go up to a cup and a half if that works well for you. And we've got 2 tablespoons of oil. You can also use butter. Okay, so my mixer suddenly started making a screeching sound. I have no clue why. Maybe because I've been using it for making bread. So if somebody from Sunbeam wants to send me one, I'd be happy. My wife would be even happier. Alright, so I'm going to add our egg whites to the batter. It should just slip out like that. And you don't want to use the mixer for this part because you'll beat all of the air out of the egg whites. You want to just fold that in like this. And it's pretty much done. This is your basic recipe. One thing I like to do is I'll dress it up with some raisins. This is some currants actually, but I frequently use raisins as well. And we're ready to start cooking. Okay, let's get cooking. I've got the waffle iron hot already. I'm going to spray it with some spray oil. That's the easy way. And then we'll add our batter. like that. Close it, turn it, and wait. Okay, so that should be just about ready. Let's see. Oh, nice golden. We'll go ahead and get the next one going. You can spray it every time or every other time, usually works. So, there it is, looking beautiful. I like to add some butter while it's hot. And if you want to dress it up a little bit, you can use a little bit of powdered sugar. Just to make it look pretty. This fine mesh on this strainer is not cooperating. We just got some new strainers. We'll go over the edge a little bit here. It's breakfast after all, it's not a work of art. All right. And then we put our piping hot syrup on there. And that's ready to eat.